welcome to Telling the Tale. I'm your host, Mitchell Farley Wolf, and I'm here, as always, with Dustin the Rabbit Jackson.
I'll let you figure out why they call me that.
Why do they call you that?
On account of my feet.
Oh, cool. Today, I think we might be covering, correct me if I'm wrong here, Game of Thrones, a Telltale series, Episode 6, The Ice Dragon, released...
Let me run that through the fact checker.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay. It was released on November 17th, 2015, directed by Kent Muddle, designed by Matt Ulmer and Matt Boland, written by Andrew Grant and James Windler. This is the finale of Telltale's time with Game of Thrones. They were in talks, we've talked about before, to maybe do more Game of Thrones. And Dustin, I tell you, it is clear that was the case.
Yeah. Boy. What did you think of this episode, Mitchell?
I thought it was quite exciting. I thought it was really cool. But I think they really should have just finished off their story.
Yeah.
That would have been a cool thing to do.
I agree. I gotta come clean with you, Mitchell. I hated this episode.
Well, then you don't agree. You said you agree, but now...
No, I agree. I agree with you that they should have just finished it.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
That part I agree with.
So, just like the whole thing, or was there a few things in particular that really got stuck in your craw?
There were just a few things. Like, overall, it's like fine, but it just left a bad taste in my mouth when it ended. And I think part of it is because of what you said. They really felt like they were going to do more Game of Thrones. You can feel it here. It never happened. And because of that, it got under my skin. It made my skin a little wobbly.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. There are 3 major settings for the campaign. By the way, because both of us lost Asher at the end of last episode, Asher's now gone from the episode select screen for me. Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm. This is actually the first time I noticed that it corresponds to your characters.
I noticed that it was doing something like that before, but I didn't notice it was so direct.
Right.
Because before the game started, I noticed that Ethan was there. Or before I started the first episode. And then by that time, Ethan was gone. By the next episode.
His neck got hurt.
Yeah, so there's 3 main areas of campaign here. There's there's King's Landing with Mira.
Mm-hmm.
There is Ironrath with, for us, Roderick, but it could have been Asher. And then basically the entire rest of the family. And... the North Grove, we're there. We got there in this episode with Garrett.
It's, how do you feel about the North Grove?
It is cool. I thought it was cool. It's really, like, strongly Season 2 bait. And,
right, yeah. That's the one.
Yeah, like, it really, really is. And it's a shame because they had a cool reveal. They were building this thing up over 5 episodes, and I was starting to think, like, how could they ever do anything that's, like, interesting at all in this just forest that's cold? And, like, what's going to be here that matters? Because the entire story is about the South. Or I guess Ironrath is still considered the North, but south of the Wall.
Right.
And I thought they had a pretty good reveal. So I'm kind of beating around the bush. Don't know why I'm doing that. There are 2 people that Garrett, Cotter, and Sylvie meet when they get to the North Grove. They are Josera and Elsera Snow. You notice the name Snow, you know they're bastards.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to be wildlings either. Wildlings being the people that are like native to North of the Wall. They are Westerosi in some regard. And then you find out they are Forrester's kids. They're Gregor Forrester's bastards.
Right.
And You don't know who their mother was. You don't really know the context of why they were banished to be north of the wall. You don't understand this or that about them. But they are weird and magic. And I thought you'd at least like this. I was thinking like, oh, this is a little magical. This is a little different. Maybe Dustin's going to be interested in this. No?
A little. So I'm of two minds about the North Grove.
Okay.
On one hand, it's just kind of a place. I wasn't really that excited. It was just like woods. It was just like a forest. It really did not live up to what I thought it was going to build up to. But on the other hand, it is kind of cool looking. I like ice forests.
How do you feel about Elsera and Josera?
I don't really. Like, I really don't want to come off as Mr. Sourpuss in this episode.
Fair.
I really don't just want to shrug everything off, but they just didn't seem that interesting to me. Maybe if we had more time with them, I could get to know them a little more. But where we're at, like, by the end of the episode, I don't really care that much about them or these people that much. Like, I thought it was, like, a somewhat interesting reveal that they were Gregor's bastards, but... Yeah, I don't know. They just don't really... Like, that's just telling you that they are something and nothing's really done with it.
They are Gregor's bastards. They are both magical in their own ways. So, Josera is a warg. And
that's a fun word.
Yeah, right? A warg is a part of the lore. It's been in the Game of Thrones lore since the beginning of the show, actually. Like, right from the very beginning, you would know more about that. And I was... When we did, like, those first two episodes, and I had, like, long-winded moments of, like, okay, let me just explain Game of Thrones real quick. Wargs were one of the things that I was hoping to not be relevant. So I didn't have to explain it. Although they are cool. A warg is someone who, by going into a deep meditative state, they can transfer their consciousness into that of a companion animal.
Okay. Oh yeah, the polar bear.
Yeah, so Jocerus is a polar bear, which is awesome, because we've never seen that before.
I like that. I like the polar bear.
The most popular wargs in the show are... members of the Stark family. Certain ones of them can warg into their dire wolves. When they were younger, they all got their own dire wolf. And they can go into the wolves. So seeing a polar bear do it, that's a very new thing.
Yeah, that's cool. So I bet if for like fans of the show, this would be a much cooler. Because like for me, I have no reference. I just thought, oh, a polar bear. That's cool.
Yeah, there's some like Chosen One-esque stuff about like who can warg to, so it means that Josera is special.
Okay.
In some regard. In fact, it might mean that he's related to the Starks. That might mean that's like who their mom is, maybe an extended Stark cousin or something.
Okay.
I don't know though. Elsera is a blood witch. This is pretty new to me. There is a blood witch in the show. She kind of just shows up for a while, does like a lot of freaky stuff, and then she's done. But Elsera is doing it to command, I guess, dead bodies? Is that what we found out they are?
I was a little confused.
Me too.
My understanding was just if you do the blood magic thing, that just kind of makes you stronger, I guess. But that's probably simplifying it too much and probably not right.
Well, okay, so my take was she's got these warriors. They just call them warriors, and they're like,
oh right, I totally forgot she controls the other people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think they're dead. I think they're dead, and she's animating their bodies.
Right, because once they snap out of it, they start attacking.
Yeah, like she's losing control on them a little bit, and
right.
they start getting aggressive with her.
Mm-hmm.
And also, while Garrett, Cotter, and Sylvia are up here, Garrett's wounds just progressively get worse. He got hurt by some...
You mean Cotter?
Sorry, yes. Cotter's wounds progressively get worse. He was hurt by a White Walker in like his rib cage, and he's going to die from this. And Elsera asks Garrett, hey, if you... He's going to die. If you kill him and give me his heart, I can use his life in a useful way. And I think that was implying she was going to use his body as a warrior. Like, if you take out the heart, do something with the heart, like some sort of magical witch stuff, he can become a warrior. And
yeah,
then,
that didn't even occur to me, but that makes sense.
Oh, okay. That turns it around, because this was an interesting choice, because the other choice is Sylvie, also aware that Cotter doesn't have a chance and is going to die, tells Garrett to give him hemlock.
Mm-hmm.
Or nightshade. I think it's nightshade.
Nightshade's the one, yeah.
I think they're the same thing. Are hemlock and nightshade the same thing?
You're asking the absolute wrong person. You could tell me anything and I would believe you.
Yeah, I'm Googling, is hemlock nightshade? Nightshade is a general term for a family of plants, one of which is hemlock.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, she's got this nightshade, and she says, it's our way, you have to feed him the nightshade, it'll be comfortable, it'll just put him out and kill him pretty much immediately. But that'll ruin his body for Elsera. So you need to choose between, like, do I make Cotter's death useful or noble?
Right. And what did you do?
I gave him the hemlock. I don't care about Elsera's warriors. Yeah,
and the thing is, they don't really care afterwards anyway. You give them the nightshade, and they're just like, all right.
Like, okay, yeah, I mean, it was your call. But
yeah, it makes it seem like a big choice. It's like, oh, they're going to be really pissed if I do this. But then, yeah, you give them the nightshade, and they're just like, yeah, no, we get it. He's your friend. It was the right choice. And it's like, cool.
Yeah,
I'm glad I didn't pick the other one.
Like, she wanted Cotter's heart and his body to be useful in a way that would persist. But, like, she's not mad. She totally gets it. She's like, oh,
I have a feeling it would not have... Yeah, I have a feeling it would not have gone the same way if you did not give him the nightshade. Sylvie probably would have been upset.
Yeah, no, if Sylvie saw Cotter's, like, animated warrior body... You know what? I should look that up. I bet that's what happens, and I bet Sylvie does get upset. I should look that up on YouTube.
Understandable, really.
Yeah, I would agree. Also, I have written in my notes here that Cotter asks, Garrett, if I get worse, and I'm gonna get worse, you have to leave me behind. And I say, you could get better. And then in the top left part of the screen, it said, Cotter noticed that you didn't give your word. I wrote down in my notes, I always don't give my word. I might do it. I might do the thing that you're asking me to. I'm likely to, even. But I don't promise in Telltale games. I don't do it.
Right. Circumstances.
Yeah. Like, what if a completely different thing happens? Who's to say?
What if I decided to just reanimate your puppet of a body?
Yeah, what if a blood witch is, like, really convincing about needing your vittles? And,
you're really not going to need that heart.
Yeah, that's a great point. He's so not needing his heart.
Yeah, I actually looked up, like, what some other people did after I finished the episode. And I saw a lot of people saying they did the blood magic ritual. And I was just there sitting there thinking, they didn't have to.
Well, how did it go for them? I mean, I really want to know how that goes.
They didn't say, they just said that's what they did.
Okay, we should have looked that up. But, I mean, I bet it's just the same, except at the end, one of the mini warriors they have is Cotter's body.
Right, and Sylvie's like, hey, man.
Gross.
That's not cool, I'm out of here.
Well, so Sylvie actually stayed with Garrett. And I don't know the age difference, but are they trying to, like, maybe hint at, like, a future romance of some sort? Sylvie seems really small. Is she a kid?
I assumed she seemed like she was, like, 12 or 13. That doesn't seem right.
Oh, you see, I would have thought she could be 17, 18.
Yeah, she read to me as younger, like
That's
a
tricky
younger
in Game of
sister.
Thrones because unless you're doing the like pampered princess kind of character, you could really be any age all the time. You could
Yeah.
because the way Sylvie talks is very pragmatic. Like we need to go to the south and reconvene with Mance Rayder, and like okay, that's what anyone would say. So I
Yeah,
don't
if she
know.
were a kid, she'd say, I want to play trucks.
Yeah, she didn't say that once.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so let's just finish that part of the episode because I feel like it's the most contained.
Okay.
You have the choice to either hunker down and defend the North Grove continuously, making good on Lord Forrester's word to not let the North Grove fall. We're still not really sure why he said that.
Yeah.
Like, why is it important? I mean, we know in a way because he has 2 kids there, but
Right, but it
like,
has to be something more than just that.
yeah, like, what are they doing there?
Yeah.
Other than Elsera just like building up this army of warriors. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's what he cared about. So you have the chance to either hunker down there or make your way down to Ironrath, see what you can do with your army of like weird undead folk.
Yeah.
And I chose to go down. I'm leaving the North Grove.
Ooh, interesting. I chose to stay.
Okay. So how did that go?
They stayed.
Was that it? Like, did you have a laugh around the campfire as the camera panned away?
No. So it's been a few days, so my memory might be a little hazy, but from what I remember, he says we're gonna stay here and defend the North Grove, and that's it.
Okay, yeah. For me, it was like we had Sylvie, Garrett, Elsera, and Josera in a line, and then the warriors like all in front of them as they're like snarling and marching out of the North Grove, and we're making our way down south, and then they cut away, and that's basically that.
Yeah, for me, they just stay where they are.
Yeah, so these 2 characters, these 2 Forrester bastards are... Yeah, you know what? Like, it's tricky because I think they're cool. They can do cool stuff. They're clearly setting something up for the next bit, but like, yeah, man. In retrospect, they should have gotten back to Ironrath at the time that the big battle of Ironrath was happening.
Yeah.
It's
just
like this should
a wet fart.
This whole bit should have it should have taken place over 2 episodes because like all of a sudden we're moving very fast instead of slow in the north.
Yeah.
And it should have
Give
been
you a little
episodes
more
like
time with
3 and 4 or 4 and 5.
Yeah, you didn't need to drag out them getting here and then barely do anything with them.
Yeah, like episodes 4 and 5 are just Garrett and Cotter north of the wall, right?
Right.
And they're just sort
and
of like
Finn
and Finn and
for me.
and Sylvie.
Yeah.
And they're just like slowly getting there. That's nothing.
Yeah, and it doesn't have any payoff. Like, you get there, yeah, but then what? You're just at a different place than you were.
Yeah, I mean, they very well matched the speed of things that happen in the north quite well. That's true to the IP. But like, yeah, if they knew that they were only getting 1 season, I think about all the different things that could have happened.
Right. And here's the thing. If they got another season, then I would totally forgive this. And I know it's not their fault. They thought they were going to get another one. They didn't. Hindsight's 2020. But it's still... It's just lame to me playing it now. I know this isn't going to go anywhere. And so because of that,
Yeah.
This ending feels bad. And I feel that way for like almost all of these characters' endings.
Yeah, I think that the Ironwrath ending feels very conclusive to me.
Right.
The other 2 are a little more, dude, what happened? Like what possibly could have happened here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I told you after I finished that I was excited to talk about this episode. and I hate that it's because I just didn't like it.
Oh, okay.
But it's good. I feel good getting my thoughts out.
I'm glad that you're fired up, regardless of your opinion.
No, like, after I finished that episode, you hadn't played it yet, but I so badly just wanted to tell you I thought it stank, bro.
Oh, man.
But like we said, I don't think that's necessarily their fault with this Garrett thing, but even then...
Is Garrett, like, a big part to you of why it stank, or is that more in the other sections?
I think it's pretty equally divided.
Okay.
Like, honestly, I think Garrett's only only one where it's like, oh, there's like a little hope going forward.
I think I agree with Garrett and the Iron Wrath story. The King's Landing story, I actually kind of like. And to me, it ended in a way that I thought was satisfying, but...
I hated it. But
well, let's go over there, because we finished the North Grove story. So here's King's Landing. The episode starts with Marjorie finally having it up to the proverbial here. And she's like, okay, look, guys, you think you're being sneaky. I saw all of it the whole time. And it...
I'm not stupid, you know.
Yeah, and again, I really do like the portrayal of Marjorie in this. I like the way of like, guys, I let you get away with so much shit, and you keep disrespecting me. I don't know what to do about it. I guess I guess you're fired? Jeez.
Here's the thing about Lady Marjorie. I like your version of her more than I like this version of her in the game. Like
there's some amount of like you gotta recontextualize how how you're thinking of it, because she's speaking in old like formal English, and you gotta just say, well, she'd probably be a lot like Kourtney Kardashian if she were around today.
Like in the game, I'm just like, shut up, go away, you're mean. But then when you talk about her, it's just like an angry mother, and I'm like, okay, all right. If she just said that, then I would be on board.
Well, she makes it known that like the straw that broke the camel's back is Mira going to Tommen's coronation.
Right.
Which was a scene I think we both pointed out as being very strong, where she's going around and like playing the Game of Thrones with people.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And you have to make a choice to either say the truth, which is that you forced Sarah to like help you get there, or throw Sarah under the bus and just have Sarah like be yelled at by Marjorie, and one of you is getting fired.
Right.
And
so what did you stand up for her or lie?
I told Marjorie that I made Sarah do it.
I did too, but I really like that this kind of makes me feel a little better about Sarah kind of turning on you in the last episode, because it really puts you in a spot where you're like, oh yeah, guess you shouldn't have thrown me under the bus last episode. Guess what now, Sarah? Like, obviously, I'm not going to rat out Sarah, but I really like that they gave you a reason to.
Well, I like it because throughout this whole game, throughout this whole series, Sarah just keeps going like, I need you to not be weird.
Could you just not
Please
be
don't
the way
be weird.
You are?
I need you to, like, we're in such a precarious position, but it's a good position. If you don't be weird, we can just keep working for who's going to be the queen. She's going to be the queen.
So desperate.
Yeah, and she is, right? And Mira just keeps doing like, maybe I might do a little back alley shady deal.
I'm going to make this guy scream really loudly.
Yeah, because I think as the player, you keep thinking, Sarah, look, I'm sneaky.
Don't worry
it'll be fine. I'm good. And then in this last episode, Sarah, like, okay, look, there were stakes. There were stakes.
You actually were not good.
You weren't good, and like, Jesus, dude.
You told me you were good.
Are you owning up to this or not? And so I owned up to it, and I got fired.
Same here.
Yeah. Especially because Sarah was also for this whole season trying to tell you about like, I need a husband because if I go back to High Garden, I'm basically just a bastard again. No one here knows I'm a bastard except for you and Marjorie. If I get married, I'll just take that name and then I can throw the whole rest of it behind me.
Right.
And Mira doesn't really have anything going on in that same kind of way. Mira's got some business deals that she could do basically anywhere, except
Right.
where
Well,
she ends up going.
yeah. Boy, sure enough.
Yeah. So the Lannister guards are all trying to catch Mira after that because, remember, you killed one. Or, I guess, does it end up dead no matter what? The Lannister guard who tries to kill you? Because I
I'm
tried to save Tom.
right.
And,
So yeah, I stabbed him with the knife.
yeah, I did too. I think the Lannister guard might just die no matter what. And I don't think Tom
Right.
dies there.
I don't think so.
Yeah, ever. So, like,
I
even if
feel
you
like
leave Tom
that'd
there,
be
I
too
think
big a
Tom, like,
change.
fights him off and stabs him.
Yeah.
Himself, maybe.
Maybe that makes sense.
That would be my assumption, based on the fact that at the end of this episode, you get thrown in jail. It's revealed that Lord Morgren, who I don't think we've said a single word about on this podcast, even though it's kind of a cool character.
Yeah, he kind of tricks you into thinking he's friendly, and then he's so not.
Yeah, he's the one that has said to Mira, like, what if we work together to sort of make a cabal of Ironwood traders so Tyrion has to pay a higher price? And it turns out that while he was doing that, he was also ordering the Lannister guards to try to kill Mira.
Right,
So
turns out
that
he was
he
the
could
one
do
who-
that to get the higher price and be the only one getting that price.
Right. Boy, what a twist.
What a twist, Lord Morgren. So you get thrown in jail by the Lannister guards. Morgren comes around and says, hey, look, I'll make you an offer. If you marry me, and it's not going to be fun.
It's gonna be real bad.
If you marry me, and it's a bad one, you can live, and we'll put Tom on the axe block instead of you. If you don't, you can just go ahead and die for this. And
so which one did you choose, Mitchell Wolf?
So I didn't think the choice was balanced. I did like this choice a lot. It gave Mira a lot of the feeling of agency. I felt like Mira's
Heavy
in charge
stakes.
of her world for the first time.
Right.
But I chose not to marry Morgren, and Mira dies.
Yeah, she didn't have her head on.
Yeah, at the end she didn't have her head on, and yeah, I don't think this is an entirely balanced choice, but I still like that, because if it had to be like death or a loveless marriage where you don't get any choices at all at anything for the rest of your life, I think that's balanced. But then, like, the extra bit of throwing Tom on there and Tom has to die, it's like, okay, well, it's no longer balanced. I'll just die.
Right. It makes that feel worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Mira would be. I guess that's the story of Mira, right? And that's why it feels satisfying to me. You don't like this.
I don't. Well, here's the thing. I'm kind of two minds of it, because I think here, can I do a spoiler for one of my segments later in the episode? This is actually probably my golden moment, just because I've never had to just have a character accept death in a Telltale. I've never had to be like, click on the stump to get your head cut off.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of fun, but yeah, to me personally, it just felt like, okay, well, this Mira story, what was accomplished with it? None of this felt like it felt like a big waste of time, in my opinion. Even though I had fun with these characters, to me it felt unsatisfying. But you disagree. What are your thoughts?
Well, like, yeah, if the show was going to keep going, or if the game was going to keep going, I think I would have felt the same way of, like, why did I spend 6 episodes in King's Landing if, like, that's not central to the thing? But because this was the amount of Game of Thrones Telltale ever made, and I don't assume they're ever going to come back to this story. They might, maybe, I don't know, probably not. Because of that, I feel that this was pivotal in the game trying to explain how the world of politics works in this world, which I think
Right.
is what the whole series is all about. And with Mira, it was like it was Cersei and Marjorie telling her throughout the series, like, hey, if you if you play the cards you're dealt in exactly the right way, you can go from being murdered unceremoniously to being the right hand of the queen. And that is the range that we can achieve here. Because if Mira throws Tom under the bus, if Mira throws Sarah under the bus, sacrifices all the people she's ever cared about, she can still be employed by Marjorie and alive.
Those are two good things.
Yeah, those are two great things. But she has to throw Sarah and Tom, like, way under the bus. Tom especially so. I would say
Yeah.
more than Sarah.
I would probably agree.
So it comes to a head. It has to show you, like, if you are going to be a true capitalist in this world, that means you need to be fine doing morally gray or even black and white bad things to other people in order to get ahead. And the game
Right.
is the whole King's Landing bit is a test of, like, okay, Mira, you want to do the best for your family. You want to work out what's the best for your family at any given point. The best thing you could do for your family is to stay alive and stay powerful. But it would require being a bad person. Like a fully bad person.
Right.
But a very pragmatic bad person. Like a bad person who has a lot going on. And you're given that choice at the end. And I decided Mira's a good person. And she died.
She sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see where you're coming from. It just didn't, for me personally. Maybe if I was more like into what Game of Thrones is,
Mm-hmm.
I would be more into it. But that's the thing here. I don't like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that has come up.
So I feel like that probably colors my opinion of it a little as well. But I totally get what you mean.
Yeah, but I was thinking about, like, how much range Mira's end can have, and it probably is the most out of everyone.
Right.
Mira can be alive and powerless, but, like, go back to her family. Mira can be locked up with Morgren. Mira can die for Tom. Mira can, while she's dead, could be remembered fondly or not fondly by either the Foresters or the Tyrells. Marjorie's house is the Tyrells.
Right.
So, like, between all of that, you can really steer that ship in the direction that you want it to go. And I think that stuff's cool. I think that is neat. That's, like, I wanted even more flexibility from, like, how far these characters can go from the beginning, because something that George R.R. Martin has said in interviews and stuff is that he's a writer in his creation of characters. He makes the characters and sets them up like a chess puzzle where the characters are just in a situation. How do you play it out? And, like, he's described his writing process for plot as pretty hands-off. Like, he says, well, I have the characters in the positions that they're in, and then they do what they want to do.
Good voice.
It's his voice. He's a jolly old egg of a man, George R.R. Martin. I recommend his interviews a lot just because he's fun to listen to. But he's talking a lot about, like, it's sort of systemic. It just kind of plays off in a very physical way. If you put this character who's very power hungry next to a character who's going to be very weak, the power hungry one will absorb the weak one just because of the nature of these characters. So, like, it really is about the political game that they're playing, and the video game of Game of Thrones if interpreted in a way that's like um the most faithful to that core idea,
Mm-hmm.
should have like, okay, if the character's me, I can do anything. I can really take this character in any direction I want. And Garrett's felt very railroaded. And Roderick, although Roderick and Asher, their story in this episode felt very like open-ended. Oh, it can go a lot of different ways depending on what you do in this last episode. Every episode leading up to this felt very a lot more, it's just going to happen a certain way, right?
Yeah.
So to me, like, the Mira stuff is kind of like this proof of concept of like, ooh, if everyone had this much flexibility, and it could really end any way that you think is narratively satisfying, then that would be a cool game. And I don't really think they got there. And that's a risk that you take when you make a video game for like 5 different playable characters, because
That's
how
true.
possible is it to really get there for everyone? You barely got it for Lee in Walking Dead 1.
Yeah.
And even then there were moments where it felt like, okay, like Carly isn't supposed to be alive right now, so she's not going to do very many important things, and then she's going to die soon anyway.
Yeah, it's like was his name Nick in season 2?
Yeah.
Nick really felt like that. Like, at least Carly was contributing. She had some good lines here and there. Like, it felt like she was still part of the game. But Nick, as soon as you don't let him die, the next episode, he's not saying anything or doing anything.
Yeah, I'm really leaning into the idea of like, maybe the Michonne season length is actually perfect. Maybe Michonne being 3 episodes, because Michonne, I don't think ever felt that way.
I don't think so either.
And
I mean,
that's a strong thing.
your stories would have to be a lot shorter. I think it would be a case-by-case basis. But
it's not like Michonne is my favorite Telltale story at all, but it on like that technical narrative skill level of just presenting these things as nonlinear experiences that you can just go through, I think it might be the most proficient one.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel ya.
Yeah, so that's Mira's story.
Yeah.
Did you regret any of your choices as you saw Mira's head topple to the floor?
No, like, I didn't think it was satisfying, but I felt very strongly about the choices I made. And I do think it's kind of ballsy to have the character's death be a choice you can make.
Yeah.
But I don't know. For me, it just didn't really come together to anything super interesting.
Yeah, because like, as you're walking slowly up to the executioner, it's just happening very, very slowly.
And I'm thinking, if anyone wants to step in and do something,
you're totally put in the position of starting to expect a Deus Ex Machina, right?
Yep, but it never comes.
Yeah, it does not come. You're like walking to the executioner's block, then like up the stairs, and then you're given an opportunity to say some last words, and then you need to click on the axe block to put your head down on it, and then it just happens. And during all of those moments, all of those like little, okay, can happen a little differently here, you're thinking, is there any way? is there anything
Sarah,
here?
you want to say something?
Yeah, because like this whole episode, you've kind of had this thing of like, oh, Cersei's on my side. Cersei's actually a little bit on my side. Mira keeps saying that. I thought
that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, especially because Cersei's like a bad guy, mostly. The fact that she's on your side is a little novel and fun. But Mira keeps bringing up with like Lord Morgren and Marjorie, like, hey, Cersei's on my side, you guys. She's not going to like this. And she never comes.
Yeah. Because
she's not really on your side. If you're in play, she'll make an alliance with you, but she'd rather not see you in play.
Exactly.
And that's, yeah. Ballsy. It's ballsy. If a Deus Ex Machina happened, I would be very mad, actually. I think it would be unearned.
Right. No, I agree. It for me, it's kind of a catch-22 where I don't like this, but also I don't think I would have liked that either.
Yeah, maybe you're just better off having never met Mira.
Well, I liked my time with Mira. We had some great. I would say some of the highs of this game are with Mira, but I think that's part of what makes this feel flaccid for me. Even though I do feel strongly about the choice I made, like I wouldn't choose to marry this guy. Fuck off. But it just kind of amounted like you're doing so much in the other episodes with Mira, and then she just dies, and then it's over. And,
Ooh, Dustin.
ooh, what?
Should we rank the 5 playable characters? And not just the characters, but the time you spend as them.
Ooh, that's not a bad idea.
Okay, who is the bottom for you?
I
I think I have to go Garrett.
Garrett below, what's his name? I already forgot the guy you play as in the first episode.
Oh, Ethan?
Ethan, that's it.
It was just one episode, but I thought that was a really strong one episode for Ethan.
Right.
So, yeah.
I guess. Well, see, I feel like I like the Garrett stuff a little more than you did.
Yes,
for me, it worked up until the end where it just kind of stopped. Yeah, I think I would have to put Ethan at the bottom. I would have liked to have more time with him, but like I just got to put that one at the bottom by default since you just barely get any time with him. But I do agree with you that I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was good. It was it was a strong first episode and a strong introduction to like the kinds of cause and effect that you're going to be putting forward with every character in the game.
Right. Then I would put Garrett next.
Yeah, okay.
Even though I did like his stuff more than you did, it wasn't like my favorite. I was never like, oh shit, cool, we get to the Garrett stuff now.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might even put Asher under Ethan.
Ooh, see, I liked Asher.
You know what? Yeah, I think that's fair. So Ethan and Garrett are 4th and 5th. We disagree, but that's 4th and 5th. 3rd, I would put Asher.
Yeah, I would too, even though I like what they did with him. There were parts, I really feel like the way it played out kind of soured me. The stuff with Daenerys, and she's just like, actually, you don't get my army, sorry.
Yeah.
And like, even though I liked what we were doing with Asher, it felt like we were there for like so little that it
Dude,
just couldn't
felt like
feel
we were there
as
forever.
I felt like we were barely there.
I think part of it was like I felt like we were there forever, and the amount of time that we spent in Essos actually getting the army only happened in episode 5. So like the entire bit that we were like there to do, and we were really focused on it. It's not like we were doing side quests or exploring other aspects of Essos. It was that. It just like all happened throughout the entire season and really only came to a head in episode 5.
It's funny how we feel different but come to the same conclusion, because I feel like we really don't have that much time with like Asher and Beska. We have a little bit, but it felt like so minuscule compared to everyone else. But I do also think that hurts it, how it feel, even though I feel like we were not with Asher that long, it still feels so drawn out to me, and you don't even get the army. So
you don't even get the army.
You don't even get it. So yeah, I also put him at 30, even though I really want to rank his parts higher than I can.
I would put 2 Roderick and 1 Mira.
This is where it gets very hard for me, because I feel like in general I'm not as into that like setting or that part of Game of Thrones that Mira's part is kind of all about as you are. But also, that has some of the highest highs of the game. Like, the stuff with Sarah, the stuff at the party, those are great. I love those. And
well, I kind of feel the same way, because the Iron Wrath setting is, well, one, it's like the only completely original setting that we go to, and I love it. It's this weird forested castle. It's very cool, and like doing small house stuff is a cool vibe in Game of Thrones, where like
Yeah.
you're one of the minor houses, but you're a major minor house, and it just is. It's an interesting thing, but
Right.
like there, it didn't really until this episode do a lot with it compared to like
Right.
Mira or even Asher. So I think I gotta rank it lower for that for me, but I would understand if you reverse those.
I'm so not. I think I gotta put Mira at number one just because her parts were just so good and stood out to me. Even though I'm
Okay.
really not
Okay.
that into that setting. But yeah, like the parts with Mira that were good were probably my favorites in the whole game. Whereas Roderick, I thought Roderick's part of the story was very important and I liked it, but it's more consistent.
Do you
Like
think
it's
that if the
go
game
ahead.
kept going, if the story kept going, if you were still Mira's handmaiden and Morgan tried to marry you and you put Tom up on the block, that you could use, or sorry, if Mira was still Marjorie's handmaiden, I mean,
Mhm.
could you use Marjorie's power to get you excused from this betrothal and like
So
basically end up scot-free?
So that is a good question. That's another Telltale won't let you do it thing. I was thinking that with the choice of choosing to marry him, I could just be like, okay, he'll get me back to Einrath, and then I could just say, oh, you know what? Actually, this guy sucks.
Yeah, I
Can we
just
do
gotta
something about
whisper
him?
in Roderick's ear, and then Roderick will stab him a lot.
Yeah, but Telltale doesn't let you have that.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, Telltale doesn't want you to have that. Okay, yeah, I'm on board with that. I think Ethan, the the per capita bit that you get of Ethan stuff, I like a lot more than Garrett's stuff. So I would put that higher,
I
but I
feel
get the
yeah.
other way.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I feel like part of it is also I had Finn with me, so it felt more like,
Hmm.
we're a ragtag group of wall deserters who were, really on this journey. And I kind of liked that. I kind of liked Garrett's part in general. I feel like if you were Ethan longer, well, that's a weird thing to think about. If you were Ethan longer, then this story might have played out differently entirely. But
Yeah, if you find
yeah,
out Roderick was alive, do you sacrifice the lordship to Roderick? Like
oh
you're
man, I
Lord
don't. I
Ethan,
kind
but
of
Roderick
I
comes
kind of
back and he's
liked being the
alive.
Lord. Yeah,
Like shit.
I kind of got used to this.
Yeah, I think Ethan would give it to Roderick because Ethan doesn't want it that much. That wasn't
Yeah,
my
he was forced
interpretation.
into it.
I mean, they were all kind of forced. Roderick didn't even
Well,
seem to want it
true.
that much.
Right.
But he rose to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How do you feel? Okay, so we've talked about the Garrett story, the Mira story. Asher's dead. Ethan's dead. It's Roderick time.
Right.
Theoretically the main story of the game.
Well, wait. Hold on. Before we get to Roderick, can I bring up one last thing about Garrett?
Yeah.
I totally spaced on this, but so the part where you're being attacked by the White Walkers in this episode, and Gregor's bastards are helping you out with their zany magic powers. This part especially felt very Walking Dead to me, partly because in the last, was it the last episode or I forget, but Finn was killed by
I think that was last
wildlings.
episode. For me,
I think so too.
It didn't happen at all.
It never happened for you, but for me, Finn died due to them. In this episode, he comes back as a White Walker and attacks you, and I was just thinking, this is just Walking Dead. Get out of here! I've done.
Oh,
this
you don't like that? I thought. I mean, yeah. That's what happens.
If it were just this I had played, then I would be like, whoa, that's cool, that's crazy. But I've done this so many times.
Yeah,
we've
seen
Bree.
a loved one come back. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Bree in season 1. You kill her, you see her get killed, and then she comes back as a walker and attacks you.
Who's
I'm used
Bree?
to it. Bree, she goes with you to Crawford. She was like the cancer survivor who,
Yeah.
and then she dies when
Yeah.
they reach in through the door.
Yeah. I almost forgot about Brie.
How could you forget Brie? No, totally get forgetting Brie. But it just didn't hit me like they probably wanted because it's all so tiresome.
It's going to be weird for people listening to this podcast. And because like they can listen to an episode where we're like, dude, Brie was so funny. And then they can listen to this episode and I do not know who Brie is.
Brie was so fucking funny, dude.
We might have said that. I don't know.
No, if I remember right, neither of us cared about Brie.
I think that it was funny the way she was written.
It was very funny the way she died. How she,
yeah,
how she was like
she was taken out of the equation in an unceremonious and kind of slapstick way.
Yeah, like like right beforehand she says like I don't want to die. I'm gonna live forever or something like that.
Yeah.
And then
Dude,
then
Brie was so funny.
She had such funny quips.
A laugh riot. Bring back Brie.
Hashtag bring back Brie,
Yeah.
the 3 Bs.
Anyone can come back in a Telltale game.
Oh man, I just wanted to bring that up because I forgot.
Yeah, okay. So Roderick's story.
Yeah.
I had a feeling you would not like this. But this was the one I thought you wouldn't like. I didn't know if you'd care about the other ones.
I feel the same way about all of them, kind of. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just because this one felt a little more. I don't even know the words I'm looking for, but this one didn't bother me as much.
I do think this one was the most like mathematical. It like we were leading to this point and we got there.
Right.
And of course this is what happens. Long story short, it's time. It's time for the White Hill invasion. And
Right.
The Foresters lose a lot.
Yeah.
They lose bad. We can.
Yeah, like real bad.
We can kind of win. So at one point, Beska and Roderick together, which is an interesting pairing. That's kind of fun. They sneak into the White Hill camp, and they see Ryan, your youngest brother, who you have definitely forgotten about a few times while playing through this game. They say, okay, go kill Ryan. I'm done. I'm done with Ryan. And
Fuck this.
Griff Whitehill, the kid, not the kid, like the fourthborn, he's an adult, but
Right.
the son of Lud. He goes and he's about to kill Ryan. He's about to take Ryan away and kill him. And you can go get Ryan, or you can go after Lud Whitehill. And you've had this conversation a little bit already of like, if you go after the head, the snake will die. There's probably a better way of saying that. If you cut off the head, the snake doesn't go. How do you say that? What's the phrase?
I don't know. I've never had to use it before. That sounds right.
Kill the snake at the head. That's where its life is.
On account of the brain.
On account of the brain. Hey, how far up the snake do you have to be to cut off its head? Like, if you cut off just the tail, is that's cutting off its head? You know.
Yeah, that tail's like a neck.
Yeah. Huh. Lots to think about today. But so did you go after Lud or did you go after Ryan?
I went after Ryan. It seemed like
Yeah.
up until now, it just seemed like I'm always making him say, we gotta go after Ryan. Ryan's the top priority.
Yeah, so I did the same thing. I went after Ryan, and if I went after Lud, I think that like theoretically the White Hill house falls, but like the Forrester house still also falls.
Do you want to know how it goes? I read what happens.
Oh, what happens?
So I'm gonna simplify it
Okay.
because I only kind of skimmed it. I don't know like all the fine details, but basically you get to poison Lud Whitehill's drink.
That's so slow. We have swords.
Right, but the thing is, you don't count on Lady Forrester also being thirsty.
What?
Yeah, so she also drinks the poison drink. And Roderick's just kind of like, oh, whoops.
So like you accidentally kill your mom there.
Yeah.
So
That's the
does
gist I got.
Ironwrath
That could
still
be wrong.
fall?
I didn't. From what it sounds like it does, but also, yeah, Ironwrath falls.
Does
well.
Griff take over?
Oh, I don't know. That might be a good question. I didn't really look into that part. I just saw that Lady Whitehill is gonna die either way.
Yeah, so like really what the choice comes down to here is Griff is going to go get Ryan and probably kill him, and you need to save your brother. On the other hand, killing Griff will not stop the Whitehills because Griff is not in charge of the Whitehills. Ludd is in
Right.
charge. So if you go get Ludd, and you can really only do one or the other, if you go get Ludd, you can kill him now. And I guess also your mom is there for some reason. In my game, the mom died a very different death.
Yeah, same.
Why was she there?
Like in the middle of the battle?
Yeah,
'Cause they wanted to kill her off, I guess.
I don't like that.
That's what she gets for killing all them birds.
You can't lie about where your characters are just because you want to surprise the player. You can't do it.
Right.
You can't skip lunch.
Whose bag is this?
Okay. So I mean I do like that choice though. The
Right.
choice between having to like go after what will end this war or go after like the person you care about dying from this war.
Yeah, I wonder if they just straight up kill Ryan if you go the other way. I have
think
to
they
imagine
do.
they do.
I have to imagine they do. And I have to imagine that Griff doesn't die and that Griff takes over Ironwrath.
Man, Griff sucks. I'm glad I got to kill him.
Yeah, I'm glad I got to kill Griff too. I don't feel bad.
You know what? I feel good about that choice because it was funny killing him because he's just crying like a little baby the whole time.
Well, you know what? Okay, so I felt really bad through the Roderick stuff because like Elena Glenmore's there, your fiance for me.
Right. Rub it in. What? Hey, I still got to sleep with her.
She's like screaming for Roderick and then like pulled off camera by a Whitehill person, and then
Yeah.
Duncan says, "She's gone, Roderick. She's gone."
She's right that we could save her. No, forget about her.
Well, I mean, I don't think we could save her. I'm sure that as soon as she was off camera, a sword went through her face. But like,
Right.
yeah, that sucked. And then,
Guess
and then
it
your
didn't
mom
matter
got a
you were
sword through the
engaged, huh?
stomach, and Duncan was
Yeah.
attacked, and Talia was attacked. Although later in the post credits, you do see that Duncan and Talia survived.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Bummer.
yeah, bummer.
But like, I don't feel good about this either. But I guess it just felt more. I don't know why this doesn't bother me as much as the Mira or the Garrett stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because it really is very bleak. I mean, I don't like
It's
it.
it's very bleak. It's very sad.
I think I didn't like it. I think that's part of what made me really dislike this episode was you're just kind of in a bad place the whole time.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
It's fine. I get that, Ironwrath can fall. But just that on top of Mira dying and just Garrett fucking off, it just felt unsatisfying as a whole.
So here's what I found out about the different endings you can get.
Ooh.
Have you looked into this at all?
I think I looked into what you're about to say a little.
So a big part of this episode depends on whether you have Roderick or Asher, right?
Right.
Mostly because of Gwyn Whitehill, where Gwyn is not that much of a presence in my episode at all because Asher was already dead.
Right.
But if Asher's alive, in that post-credits scene where Duncan and Talia find Roderick like barely alive on the ground, if it's Asher, it's not Duncan and Talia or Royland and Talia, it's Gwyn and Talia. So
Interesting.
Gwyn finds Asher and Gwyn's like, "Hey, we're gonna get them all back."
We're gonna prank them even harder.
My dad will see reason. This is Jackass. I'm gonna slap my dad so hard.
We're acting crazy out there.
You're acting
man.
crazy, Gwen. Yeah, so that's one ending, and then the other ending is Beska riding off holding Ryan.
Right, yeah.
And that doesn't happen if you don't have Ryan, just straight up. And even if Mira lives, she's not in the post credits, so there's nothing for her. But like, there's such an open story here of, okay, the White Hills killed a bunch of the Foresters, basically all of them except for your Sentinel, Talia, Roderick or Asher, and Ryan maybe.
Right.
Low number. But
not a lot.
Tom or Mira is still alive, and Tom or Mira are going to work at King's Landing continuously, probably, to bolster the Forrester household. They do not, in this season, ever explain why Tom is doing what he's doing. It sounds like he's being paid by someone very powerful who wants to see the Forresters succeed. It is not explained. That is a season 2 thing that did not happen.
Right.
So one of Tom or Mira are going to continue working for the Foresters. Roderick or Asher, maybe Gwyn Whitehill, maybe Ryan, definitely Talia, definitely the Sentinel, and Garrett, Josera, and Elsera are all riding south, maybe, they are for me, with a bunch of zombies, I guess. Mind-controlled zombies. So between all of that, like, there's a good chance they're going to come back and, like, kick Lud Whitehill's ass. But it you know, it's whatever.
So much for that.
I think that you could finish this story up in one episode.
Would you have preferred that? Like, if we had one more episode after this?
Well, I mean, it would depend on what they do with it.
Right, what if it's just
because if they
leading to
do
more
that
bullshit?
and then they still just leave it open for season 2, then it doesn't matter, right?
Right,
but
then you just have more to play.
If they do a massive time, I would imagine like a 5-year time skip. Ryan's older, he's grown up as a rogue being taught by Beska, right? Garrett, it has taken 5 years just to walk south because it's so slow up there. And Elsera and Josera are just still being such weird little magic freaks. And Mira and or Tom are trying to figure out the King's Landing way of life, and they're raising funds. And then all of a sudden they just launch this massive counterattack on Ironwrath, which is now controlled by the White Hills. But it happens at exactly the wrong time, and they're taken down by like a dragon or something at the end of the proper Game of Thrones story arc.
Right.
Yeah,
man,
that's
never
how
got
I imagine it
those
would go. What?
We never got those dragons.
We saw 2 of them.
We saw them.
What do you want with them?
I want more of them.
Okay. I feel like they gave you them, but you just want more?
I just want more dragons.
Fair. Anything else we should talk about? Anything else we got to get into?
There's a very striking visual where Ryan has to hold up Asher's dead deceased head on a pike.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not cool, man.
Yeah, also, like, Lud Whitehill, that's your son-in-law. Asher? Do you not remember that about Gwyn? Like, you really don't care? Forget,
that's
but never
forgive. Yeah, that part I was a little like, ew, gruesome.
Yeah, it was messed up to have Ryan do that. Ryan's gonna be a hardened jackass by the end of this kid's life.
Yeah. Oh, something else I liked. This is like a totally minor thing, but during the White Walker attack, I liked that some of them were like just skeletons.
Yeah,
that gave them a new sort of look, a new flavor.
Yeah, there's like a distinction between White Walkers and like whites, and the Night King is like a different thing entirely. He sort of leads them, and between all of that, it's a little fuzzy about how it works. But like, yeah, some of them are like just dead bodies, and some of them are more like the spirit of ice has taken form within this dead body. And you're like, okay, all right, yeah, all right, that's fine.
Cool,
That's
man.
fine. That's allowed. That can be okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Um, yeah.
Did
So
you have anything else?
I should talk about the epilogue a little bit. In the epilogue, we got
Okay.
all the show characters because, I mean that's the I think a big problem with this game. They really overprize the show characters when I think they should be more focused on telling their own story.
Right.
But they have Ramsay, Marjorie, Jon Snow, Daenerys, and Cersei all talking about little choices the Foresters made. And if I found this out from YouTube, if you were playing with a Telltale account connection when that was still happening, you got your percentages at this time. And like every single
Oh.
sentence they were saying, well, I used to be able to trust Garrett Tuttle, but now I can't. And it said like 41% of players lost Jon Snow's trust. And
Okay, go ahead.
no, that's it. Like we don't have those percentages, but
Right.
yeah, for me, Ramsay laughed at Ethan, thought very little of him. Marjorie distrusted Mira at first, but then admits, once I found out everything that happened, I had a great respect for her. Jon Snow is disappointed in Garrett, didn't change. Ramsay pitied Roderick. He said, "Oh, this guy killed his own master of war because he found out he betrayed him. I gotta see this guy. This guy's such a broken little mess, little scrappy little guy. I pity him." And then Daenerys was disappointed at first with Asher, but then once she found out what Asher did, she literally says, "He earned my respect, but not my help."
Just shrug. Sorry.
Yeah. It turns out I didn't help him.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, so that was my ending. Just because of how like systemic it is, it needs to go in a certain order, and I think it would have been great if it like ended with Marjorie talking about Mira, because it was like distrusted at first, but then I saw what she did standing up there, offering her own life to save a friend. It was I don't remember exactly what she says, but like she respected it a lot. And if I just ended on there, I could have been like, yeah, that was amoral. That was a moral that I could have.
That is something that happened.
Yeah, we could have stopped there. But then Jon Snow just says, "I thought I could trust him, but I could not."
I guess
right.
I guess not.
Sorry, Jared.
Sorry about that, man. Guess I'll just stay here at the North Grove.
Yeah, I'm good. You want to end the episode?
Yeah, why not? Let's segment it up.
All right. My choice cut
Ooh.
is following Griff to save Ryan or following Lud.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I felt like just in that moment you're deciding what's more important to you, family or victory. And that's kind of the choice of the entire series. But in this one very specific moment, they kind of lead to like, okay, it matters now. So what's up? So I went I went with Griff and saved Ryan, and I felt like that was a fun choice.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I would have been. I mean, I don't know how the other choice played out, but not knowing how it plays out, I at least feel like from a glance I would have been satisfied with picking either of these, but I'm glad I picked the one I did.
Yeah. What's your choice cut?
Whether or not to marry Lord Morgan.
It's a good one.
It's so. I feel so weird and bad because, like, this Mira story is the one I got the most upset with. Just, And like I said before, like I feel like I would have been upset no matter what they did. But both my golden moment and choice cut tie into it.
So what's your golden
I'm very
moment
conflicted. Golden moment is just when Mira loses her head.
then? That is mine too. Yeah, that scene is very impactful.
Yeah, and like I said before, it's just not something I've had to do in a Telltale game before. Just like accept death and click on making this death happen.
Yeah, it's rough.
What if I just chose not to click on the little slab and have my head cut off?
I'm reminded of that scene in Earthbound where you're playing as Pooh, and you're in this weird meditative training kind of thing, and this demon accosts you, and this demon is saying like, "Offer me your eyes," and you have to be like, "Okay," and offer me your arms. Yeah, okay, you can cut my arms off. You're in excruciating pain. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Offer me your head. All right. And it cuts off your head. And then like you wake up from the meditation, but you just need to do that or you fail it. You need to be okay with it and offer yourself to it. And that's just what Pooh does real quick in Earthbound for a bit.
What if when Mira's head comes right off, she shoots up in her bed and she says, "What a nightmare."
Yeah, and she's sleeping with Big B Wolf, and he goes, "Go to sleep.
Go back to bed, honey.
Go back to bed. You'll wake Max."
What, like Max from 7 Max just sitting in a chair?
Yeah,
in
he's
this
in a cradle.
other side of the room. Oh man, what a road trip that would be.
Yeah, and they're in the inn from Nelson Tethers, so like it's very good.
Oh man,
it's actually great.
That sounds like the shittiest thing, but also I'd love it more than anything in the world.
Yeah. It's Mira Forrester. Any of these Game of Thrones characters showing up in a Texas Hold'em game would be so funny.
Was Poker Night 2 before this? I want to say it was. I think it was after.
Yeah. I think it was a couple years before this.
Yeah, that makes sense. But that would be funny though.
Poker Night 2 came out in about 2 years before this, 2.5 years before this. Yeah, I mean Poker Night 3, there's always a chance.
Yeah, maybe someday.
Maybe someday. Yeah, so that's our golden moment. Then our weekly guy. This was tough for me, but I gave it to Roderick.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, what'd you do?
What was my choice? Well, first of all, tell me why Roderick. Go into your choice.
I think that all the choices Roderick had to make as Lord of Forrester House during the White Hill invasion, just like what do you actually do when you're leading an army during a war, and like a small scale army where you're close enough to the ground that you're really making all the decisions in real time with the people that matter dying or living because of you. And Roderick rose to the occasion in a way that I thought was both realistic, because he wasn't imperfect, but commanding of the respect and attention of everyone there at House Forrester. All of the pit fighters that Asher rescued that really don't have that much of a relationship with Roderick, he got them on their side, for me at least. So that was cool. The tactics that he had to work out with Beska and Duncan, and making it through watching his wife and mother die, that was very, very tough.
Right.
And I think that he had a hell of a time. Laughs were had by all. And he just had a great one.
Yeah, good for him. Those are very good reasons for Roderick. That makes me feel a little bad about my choice.
What's your choice?
So, this episode put me in a bad mood.
Did you say Lud Whitehill?
No.
Okay.
Why would I ever say Lud White? He didn't even do that much.
I just the way you were leading into this. Okay, what'd you say?
I said the polar bear.
Yeah.
I just liked the polar bear. That was like the one part of the episode where I was like, you know what? I'm happy to see this.
So would you include Josera Snow with that? Like that is Josera.
You know what? I feel
Josura.
like if we got another season, I could see myself really liking their deal.
Yeah.
Like I can totally get into that.
Did you notice
But
that Elsra and Josura both have very long faces?
I didn't. It never occurred to me. I would have to see them again. But I can guarantee you, if I saw them again, I'd probably be like, "Oh, you're right."
Well, we were kind of picking on the
Ew.
fact that Lady Elena, Gwyn Whitehill, the Mother Forrester, Talia, and Mira all look very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Elsra, who has more reason to look similar than like Gwyn or Elena, very different looking. A very, very different looking woman than any of the other ones. I don't see the Forrester in them at all.
Yeah, same. Oh, well, I don't know why I just said same. I just said I don't remember how they look.
Oh, okay. Well, one of them's a polar bear. And the other's a bunch of dead folks that are maybe being puppeteered in a bloody way.
Yeah, that's not nice, but I guess I get it.
Well, if they're dead, then they're not feeling it. But if they're like, they really don't make it clear.
Yeah, so, like, it's different with Cotter because his sister's there.
Mm-hmm.
That feels uncool. But if it's just, like, people in your group and, like, everyone's kind of on the same page, then I guess it's fine.
Well, it's strange because, okay, so Elsra and Josura are not wildlings, but all the warriors do seem to be, they're, like, wearing wildling clothing. Mm-hmm. Like, more caveman-looking clothing. Furs and stuff. So it doesn't seem like they were in their group. It just seems like they died nearby or something, or they were dying nearby. Yeah, so maybe they're alive and they're just like blindly being puppeted by Elsra, which is weird because Elsra like doesn't give off weird vibes. She just keeps doing weird shit. It's like I guess that's how weird people really are in real life. But yeah, if you pointed it out to her, you get the feeling that she'd be like, "Yeah, you know, it's weird. I'm sorry, but."
Yeah, it really just comes down to and it comes. I do think if we got a season 2, I'm kind of glad we didn't. Now, like when I finished that first season the other day, I was like, if I had to play another one of these, I would be so in a much worse mood than I am right now.
Wow.
But at the same time, they could have built on like the Garrett stuff. Like we could have seen more go. It would have lessened the sting of this episode, I think.
Maybe it's just because I know that we have more, but I'm thinking of like at least 2 other seasons that we still have to do that I want to play less than a finale to this. I would rather play a finale to this than 2 of the other things we definitely have to do.
Like CSI?
Well, yeah, okay, so the next CSI. and frankly, I'm not that attached to doing another season of Minecraft. I like what we played of Minecraft, and I feel good about it. I feel like we already got 2 seasons of Minecraft.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. Like, if that were season 2, then it would be fine. But we basically got a whole second season, and now we have more. But I think I would feel worse about it if it were as long as the first. But it's just another 5 episodes, whatever.
Yeah,
but I get I get what you mean.
We played 4, and now 5. Like that, it's not that much longer than either of the 2 halves that we just
it's
played.
just that we've already done a lot of it.
Yeah, we really
don't really need more.
Have done a lot of it.
Yeah, I totally get you.
Yeah, so that's Game of Thrones. Dustin didn't like it. I thought it was pretty good.
Unfortunately, we were saying Telltale usually sticks the landing, and for me, I feel like this is like one of the few times they didn't. But like up until then, it was kind of growing on me like a little bit. So I don't think this is like a bad Telltale season like overall. I just wish I wish the ending hit a little better.
What can you do? I thought Wallace and Gromit was worse than this.
Wallace and Gromit.
Walder and Gromy was a little worse than this. Not a little, quite a bit to me.
Yeah, you have your vendetta. I actually liked Wallace and Gromit well enough. I would I think I put it over Game of Thrones, but part
Would
of
you
it's
play a
because
season 2 of Wallace and Gromit?
if I had to. I mean, here's the thing. I didn't even play the first season
Over
before.
just
I played it
seeing
for the
what
podcast.
happens with with this polar bear guy? I want to see what happens to this polar bear guy.
I don't know. I thought Wallace and Gromit was charming. But I think part of it might be because you're also a bigger fan of Game of Thrones as an IP than I am. I like Wallace and Gromit in general more than I like.
I like Wallace and Gromit in general a lot. I think the game just showed me how much I don't like the character Wallace.
That's still my favorite thing to ever come out of this show.
It's just, he's so pathetic.
Yeah. Imagine, he wouldn't last 2 seconds in Game of Thrones.
He wouldn't last a moment in Game of Thrones.
Now that's something I would love to play.
They
Wallace
would carve
in Game of
him
Thrones
up for parts.
No, imagine if through his buffoonery he just manages to survive everything.
I hate it. I would hate it.
That would be my favorite thing to ever. That would be the best season of Telltale.
It belittles like Mira's death so much. Like Mira couldn't survive in this dog eat dog world, or she chose to survive and like gave away her morality. But Wallace just like blindly, as a good person, Paddington Bear steps into like he's now the king. They just made him king.
Imagine him at the beheading of Mira, and he's just in the crowd, and he's like, "Crikey, that's not good."
Father Gromit.
And then he just leaves. He gets to live.
Well, the executioner would ask Wallace, the king. The executioner would ask Wallace, "Should we execute her?" And Wallace would be like, I don't know what to say." And then they do it because he didn't he didn't say the easy thing fast enough. Because he's tongue-tied when it's inconvenient for anyone beside himself. The guy sucks.
The queen has like a flower on her bosom, and Wallace is too preoccupied to say no.
Yeah, and like there's other people in Game of Thrones who just like walk around naked, but like this one, he can't deal with it. You just can't deal with this one.
Oh man, I'm sad that doesn't exist.
I think Lud Whitehill really could have lived on Wallace's street though.
Oh, with that voice? Yeah, totally.
With that voice and just that character design.
Imagine him imagine him in Aardman style, and he's just like walking.
I actually am having
like,
a hard
chest
time
up
not
in the air.
imagining him like in Aardman style. I'm trying to think of what he looked like in the game, and I can't now. I just think of like the big Shaun the Sheep eyes on him.
Oh man, you know what? If that happened in this, I would love it a lot more than I did. I would have no notes. Everything else could play out the same. And I would just be like, yeah, well, because they did that, I feel seen.
Yeah, so I liked it. Dustin didn't. That's the bit about this Telltale season. And we're going to be moving on to another Telltale season that is sure to be, I was going to say more divisive, but that's actually not right. It's going to be less divisive, I bet.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to be on the same page.
That's because we're heading into CSI. Ooh, what's the subtitle? It's not Hard Evidence.
Deadly Intent?
Deadly Intent. Did we do Deadly Intent?
I don't know. They're all the same.
No, hang on. Let's look it up. Telltale, CSI.
I accidentally mistyped it due to my fat thumbs, and I wrote Telltale CAU.
Yeah, that's not it. Let's
I'll
see.
try again.
Yeah. No, we did Deadly Intent.
Ugh.
It's Fatal Conspiracy.
That's the one I meant.
Yeah, the 2010 video game. We're heading back to the past to play some games that suck ass with CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, Fatal Conspiracy. I feel like I should not. Let's just point out that's an AVGN reference and not something I actually feel. This game could be the best CSI game by a lot, I bet.
Well, so here's the thing about it. From what I've seen 2 different Telltale rankings. One was the best, top 10 best, and one was like just every Telltale game ranked from worst to best. And on the list of the top 10 best ones, just going off Metacritic rankings, this one was said to be the best one, but part of that was because it had 2 reviews. But it put it in that top 10, and it has like an 80 something on Metacritic. But then I watch this other list. I think it was Triple Jump on YouTube, who ranked every Telltale game right at the bottom.
Fatal Conspiracy was the worst one?
The worst of them.
Wow. Even Three Dimensions of Murder, huh?
I feel that's hard to believe, because these CSI games only get better, and they put the first one Telltale did as the best of them.
Yeah, it's wrong. I mean, we
did
play the worst
right?
version, so like we have a very interesting experience with it that might not be the way everyone else felt about it.
Right. That's true. Who knows? Maybe it'll be better, or maybe it won't.
I'm reading the Wikipedia page on the game. CSI Fatal Conspiracy corresponds with the 10th season of the television series and includes the return of Sarah Seidel.
Ooh, they really got her, huh?
They really got Sarah Seidel back. She's a fictional character portrayed by actress Georgia Fox.
Wow. That means, like, nothing could mean less to me than that.
No, but we met her in the games. She was in 1 or 2 of them.
Right. I mean, you could be lying right now, and I'd believe you.
And Lawrence Fishburne has reprised his role, so he's still in there again, too.
Okay.
So get excited for that. Now, listener, normally what we do when we do a Telltale CSI game is we try to play as much of the game as possible in 1 or 2 goes, and then bring it all together for you for the podcast. So it might be a couple weeks instead of 1 week before we're back in your eardrums, but we hope that you're as patient as we are excited to finish up the CSI branch of Telltale's history.
I can't wait to be done with it.
I can't wait to see what the very last case of CSI Telltale ever worked on was like. I think that they're going to pull out all the stops for this last one.
It's going to be a big crossover event from all their games.
There's going to be pyrotechnics. There's going to be big story moments. There's going to have a great summer.
And yeah, maybe